What up, YouTube? You can't stop trading and investing with James Z. Today we're going to talk about VERU. I want to go over the catalyst that propelled this thing today. Pretty much went parabolic today. I want to talk about the catalyst about this company, what I'm doing with this company. I want to go over the revenues. I want to go over the chart pattern and just give a little rundown on my analysis on what I think about this company for the future and what I'm going to do with it now. But before I do that, please hit that like button. Please subscribe if you haven't already. It is very much appreciated. I do this for financial entertainment. I just go over my analysis on what I see in the market. And I like to share that with everybody that's open to hearing and listening to what I got to say. I am not a financial advisor, but that being said, man, let's just get right into this thing. So as you can see right here, this is the name of the company, Veru. Which is the ticker symbol VERU. Veru expands oncology drug pipeline, exclusive lines, phase 3 clinical stage targeted therapy for endocrine resistant metastatic breast cancer. So, it's a biopharmaceutical company. Typically, I don't really invest in biopharmaceutical companies, but they have great catalysts that could cause parabolic moves in a short period of time, which is pretty much what I'm trying to capitalize on. So as you can see right here, Veru Inc., an oncology biopharmaceutical company with the focus on developing novel medicines for the management of prostate cancer and breast cancer, today announced that it has exclusively licensed worldwide rights to enobosarm. I can't even really pronounce that. Enobosarm, a late-stage oral novel androgen receptor targeting agent for the treatment of endocrine resistant ER plus HER2 metastatic breast cancer. The company also provides an update on the clinical development program. Enobosarm is an oral new chemical entity that selectively targets AR in breast cancer without having an unwanted virilizing androgen adverse side effects, including facial hair, acne, increase in hematocrit, or liver toxicity. Enobosarm has extensive non-clinical and clinical experience, having been elevated to 25 separate clinical studies over 2,000 patients, including 5 prior phase 2 clinical studies in advanced breast cancer, 2 phase 2 clinical studies that were conducted in approximately 150 heavily pre-treated patients with ER plus HER2 metastatic breast cancer who developed resistance to cure estrogen endocrine therapy with positive efficiency and safety clinic results. So it looks like they're making some progress in a drug for breast cancer, and it looks like obviously they did really well in phase 2, and now they want to be moving into phase 3. So I mean, that is pretty much the catalyst, as you can see today, December 9th, 2020, which was actually yesterday. Today is the 10th. So you feel me? It just news came out about that, and it did cause a big move in the market on that day yesterday. And then also, they also had a huge catalyst as well come out about their earnings. As you see right here, shares of Veru moved higher by 4.2% pre-market trading after the company reported fourth quarter results. Quarterly results, earnings per share rose 160% year over year. 160% year over year. That is amazing, which beat the estimate. Revenue of $11.7 million, up to 34% year over year, which beats the estimate of 10.6. So even in revenue, they grew 34% year over year in revenue. That is also amazing. So obviously they have a strong catalyst that's going to boost this stock. I don't know if you guys are aware, but they compared this company, which is very similar to another biopharmaceutical company, GLSE. We'll get into that in a minute, because what they're saying is basically the news that was put out by Veru, VERU. Basically, the news that they put out is very similar to GLSE. And now GLSE yesterday went from $5 to $158 a share in one day. Woo! You feel me? I mean, just imagine that if you had 1,000 shares, your $5,000 would be $158,000 if you were able to sell at the top in one day. That is amazing. That is a parabolic move like no other. I mean, I've seen stocks go from 500 I'm sorry, from $5 to $100 in a few days, just being squeezed and having a major parabolic move. So, they're saying that the news that came out about that company is very similar to the news that came out about VERU. But again, just want to get into it a little bit. But before I do, let's just get also into what meets my criteria for stocks that I like to buy, which is an increase in revenue. And as you can see right here, annual from 2016 to 2019, we did have a little drop off, but when it comes to biopharmaceutical companies, I do expect that because they do invest heavily in R&D. And then when they're in these clinical stage phases of phase 1, phase 2, that doesn't necessarily drive revenue. You're basically just trying to create a new product, create a new drug that could be potentially life-changing in the future. But as of 2017 to 2019, we're seeing a steady increase, as we see here, 13.6 million to 15.86 million to now 31.8 million in the annual. And then as of year to date, the trailing 12-month period, we're already up into $38 million of revenue in 2020. And then also, if we go to the quarterly, as you can see, the quarterly is pretty much maintaining. But as you can see, it grew from third quarter to fourth quarter in 2019. And then also you're seeing quarter 1 to quarter 2 in 2020, and that grew as well. And then obviously, as we know, the third quarter results that just came out, they made 11.73 million, which is more than the previous quarter. So we're seeing growth quarter by quarter, which is another great thing that I look for. And then also they see analyst recommendations. As you can see here, we're heavy in the buy and strong buy category, which also is another catalyst that boosts up for retail investors to go ahead and take a look or potentially purchase this, which they have a price target between $6 and $8 per share right now. So, as you can see right here, the average analyst price target is $8.50 a share. So I want to get into this a little bit. As you can see, we went straight parabolic. So when the news came out yesterday, they went from $3 up to a high of $4.23 before it pulled back, and then had a huge jump after hours. And then we had a huge move all the way up to the 780s before we started dropping again. So we have a market cap of 270 million, float of 52 million, and we traded 52 million shares today. Compared to when the catalyst came out yesterday, they only traded 5 million shares. So it's 10 times. So as what I like to see is a pickup in demand. So 5 million, I'm surprised it's had a great move with 5 million shares when there's a 52 million float. But again, as the demand increases, which it very well did, 52 million, that's 10 times more than the previous day of yesterday. So I could pretty much see it doubling even tomorrow as the demand increases, and see where this thing could go. But I wanted to compare it to GLSE because I don't see this stock going from $5 to $158. The reason why GLSI is the stock that they compared it to. So if we get into them real quick. So the news was extremely similar, exactly what happened. And as you can see on this day, it went from $5 all the way up to $158. But the big difference in this is the float. So you see a 1.74 million float, trading 9.2 million shares today. So that rotated multiple times. So, we're talking 2, 4, 6, 8, 5 times rotation in the float, which is a supply and demand ratio that I look for. Typically, when the demand is higher than the supply, it causes massive squeeze. And as you can see, this was a huge, massive squeeze. So I don't necessarily see that happen with VERU. I don't necessarily see that happening with them. Can it cause a squeeze? Yes, of course, because it did. And we'll get into that chart pattern in a minute. But as massive as this is, I don't see it being as massive as that. I can see a squeeze, potentially it reaching, in the $15 to $20 range as a massive squeeze for their particular float, which is 52 million, and their volume is trading at 52 million. So it's trading the float right now as of today. But as you can see, for this particular stock and this particular company, another biotechnology company that had very similar news, if you do the comparison of both of them, the news and the growth is pretty much the same, but the supply and demand is completely different. So that could cause that is exactly what caused that mass move from 5 to 158, because when short sellers start piling on, it causes a squeeze, and then they wind up getting squeezed out and losing a shitload of money. So that is the difference that I see in GLSI and VERU. Even though that the news came out is very similar, you have to look at the actual supply and demand ratio, because that plays a huge difference between the two, because it is extremely huge. It trades nearly 50 million more shares afloat than GLSI does. So if we get into the actual chart pattern, as you can see right here, it's down to 542. As you can see, my P&L on the day is minus $4. So it's minus $4 because when I started researching the stock, as you can see, I want to get into the way this thing plays out though, all right? So as you can see right here, I noticed this thing around this time. So when I started seeing it base in here in the 480s, which is over resistance of a previous high in this area in the 470s, also in this area in the 430s. So when I seen it basing right here, I just got done doing all my research on this stock. Not only did I do my research, but you know, I also like to listen to what other people say. So I did go looking at other analysts and other you know, stock traders and investors to see what they had to say, and what kind of catalyst will boost this stock other than just the news that came out. I want to know how many people are going to be involved in this. And during this time, as you see, here's the volume. The volume was still very low. I want to say it was trading about 8 million shares, which is roughly about 3 million more than it was trading yesterday. So it wasn't like too significant of a difference, almost 2 times the difference, but still, again, with the 52 million float, to me, it really wasn't a big deal. But once I solidified that I did want in on this stock, I originally purchased it in the 485 area, and I wanted to ride this thing out up until the 660s. So that was the level that I wanted to get out for roughly about $2 a share. I bought a small position, about 115 shares. So a very small position, roughly around like $550 position. And then I stepped away. I stepped away from my computer to go do something, and I came back, and we were up here in the 690s. And as soon as I seen that and it broke where I wanted to get out at, I said, okay, man, I'm just going to exit this thing. So then I sold it, and I believe it got me out somewhere in the 630s. And that's where it had got me out, in the 630s. So I made a nice 32% profit on that original position, which is why you see, you know, my P&L's only on the day $1 compared to, it says P&L on the open 125. So when I sold it into this pop, into that candle, then it went super parabolic on me and topped out right here at 786. Then I really started looking at the chart pattern. So if you can see, when the news came out on this day yesterday, we had a pop. We had a pop from the 3s all the way. I wish I could get a better view of that. Yeah, here we go. Let's just get into yesterday. So as you see right here, we had a pop from 325 up to the 340s, no big deal. Then a pullback. Then it had a huge run up to the 380s. Then another big pullback. Then we had a huge push to the 430s. Then another big pullback. Then we had another push to the 549s, a bigger squeeze. And then another pullback. And then now another big push and another pullback. So I'm starting to see a pattern here within these last couple days. And then as you can see in this area of the day, look at that volume pull. I love seeing this. Like, you have no clue how much I love seeing volume picked up like this, which is a major catalyst again. So when I seen it do that and then it pulled back down here into the 6s, I said, you know what? I'm going to double up on my position because it looked like it was basing here. I could have been a little more patient, but, you know, I was already up, you know, about off of my $550 position. I had already made about $180, which is 32% profit on my position, which was great for a day trade. So I day traded it. But let me take that back. I tried to originally purchase in this candle as it was popping, and I repurchased because I sold in this area in here. And so when it dropped back to this level, I had repurchased my original 115 shares, thinking that we were going to get that pop right here. But as it just kept going, I decided to cut my loss right there. I cut it. I said if it dips below 6, I'm going to cut it. And that's what it did. So I went from $180 profit to taking about a $40 loss on there. So I was roughly about $140 profit. And then I got back in when it started basing in the 6s, and I'm starting to see this curl. Then I got back in, doubled up on my position, and then even as I'm seeing it decrease now, my solidification in here comes from what you're seeing right here. As you can see, this is a 20-day, 1-hour chart, but these are the 2 days that I'm looking at. And that's exactly what we see. We see the pop, big pullback, pop, big pullback. Pop here, big drop, pop again, big drop, and then now a big pop again, and now we're having another big drop. So I thought $6 was pretty comfortable. If it continues with this trend, obviously we had a huge pickup in volume from 5 million yesterday to 52 million shares traded today. So if we could get that demand continued into tomorrow, which is Friday, I could see this very well gapping up tomorrow and then even breaking these 786s. And if it does, then the next resistance level that I'm in for is $10 a share. So let's get into that. Right here. So 1021 was the high that this stock has ever had. So that's roughly the level I'm trying to look at in the 10s for it to top if it does break that 7. Because we don't really see any other level in between 8 and 10. So if it does break that 786 and runs up, you know, and breaks that level, I do see it getting to the 10. And then that's where I would want to exit. Because this thing does have, obviously it went parabolic in these last couple days, from 3 all the way up to the 8s. That is a huge parabolic move, man. That's almost, you know, that's almost 3 times your money right there in 2 days. So I just see the potential in this stock, but again, because of how volatile it is, you know, it still makes you very nervous. As you see, I'm in at 607, doubled my position, but we're in the 536s. But again, that's expected because very similar to the very first day, you see the pop like we had today, then a pullback, and then the major pop, and then now you see it as a major pullback after hours. And that's what's going on here. We're having a major pullback after hours. And then it instantly recovered and came back to those levels, and then blew past those levels, and then even gapped up the next day even higher in the pre-market. So I mean, I could see that very much happening in here. As you can see, pop, pulls back, same thing here. So we had this pop, which is like this pop here, parabolic move, pull back, very similar here, pop, pull back, and then had the massive late run, just like you see here, pop, and then now a big pullback before the close, and then now dropping after hours. So very similar, just more volatile because we're having a lot more demand for this stock now that all this news came out. But again, the reason why this doesn't scare me, it makes me get out. One, because I was already up profitable on the day. So even though it dropped, realistically, I'm only down 34 cents a share, as you can see right here, total for the day on this particular position. So it's basically like I'm at break even again because I had already made a profit, solidified that profit, sold it, and then repurchased it at a lower price. So, you know, it's really no big deal for me. Even though you see right here on my current position, I'm down $143. It just pretty much just took away all my profit from today. But again, with the potential of this volatility and what this company has to offer, because it actually has really great news. And then, like I said before, you know, I always like to look into the numbers, man. And so obviously we're we're having a great balance. As you can see right here in the quarterlies, we're maintaining, but this excites me. We're seeing consistent growth, and then as I said, as of 2020, the 12-month the 12 trailing months, it's already into 38 million, and we still have a quarter to go. So I only see that if we have another quarter very similar, and as you can see, their quarters pretty much stay the same. So if we have a quarter similar, another 11 grand, we're talking roughly about, 40 to 50 million dollars in revenue for 2020. So that's growth, and that's exactly what I like to see. So that solidifies my position. Also, we have Also, we have analysts, as I've said before. Obviously, everyone's on a buy or strong buy recommendation. And then part of that catalyst as well was, you can see right here, they had H.C. Wainwright Company maintains VERU with a buy and raises the price target from $6 to $8. So obviously they have an increase in what they think the potential of this company can do, which is also great news. So you have analysts increasing their price targets. You have multiple analysts recommending a buy or a strong buy. You have great third quarter earnings, 160% year over year. You have a 34% growth in revenue year over year. You have clinical trials that have been proven and now moving into phase 3. And it's in breast cancer, man. I mean, come on, 1 out of 8 women in America get breast cancer. So if we could solve a problem to fix that issue within our community and in our world, I mean, that's an amazing thing to jump on. So again, man, I just wanted to go over VERU. So again, I doubled my position. I was up originally, made 32% on my day trade, which was great. Day traded it again, lost a very small percentage. I want to say roughly about like 8%. So I made 32% on my day trade. Then I lost 8% on another day trade, just trying to trade it again, trying to catch the bottom. And then doubled up my position at the 6 when it was holding the 6 level. So now it's in the 540s, which is okay because I still see this trend continuing as we're seeing a pop, pullback, pop, pullback, pop, pullback, pop, pullback, pop, pullback. And I want to see that trend continue up to the 10s if we see a surge in demand. So I would like to see this stock trading potentially double tomorrow on Friday, trading over 100 million shares, which, as you can see, all this demand coming in late in the day, that can boost be huge for tomorrow. And because of that, I can see this potentially reaching the 10s. If not, depending on the supply and demand ratio that I usually look for, if the demand isn't really there, then I'll probably, depending on where it is in the day, that's going to be my deciding factor. For what obviously I was up, so it gave me some cushion. Because usually this would be around where I want to cut my loss already. But I had told myself, because I was already up on this particular company, that I'm going to go ahead and use that because I had already seen it kind of giving it back as it started dropping below 6. But again, I seen the trend in the chart pattern, so it didn't really scare me too much. I just decided, okay, what I'm going to do is once it breaks even, if it drops, roughly at this point, now that I doubled down my position, I want to say if it drops roughly 5 to 6% of my position. So I want to go by the risk-reward ratio. So obviously, if I get up here, if I'm trying to get out in the 10s, that's a $4 profit, which is roughly on my position. I want to say is roughly 60 to 70% profit on my position. I want to say even more, maybe 80, about 80% profit on my position. So if I'm going for an 80% profit, cutting it at a 10 to 8% loss, that's okay with me. That risk reward is amazing. But again, man, another potential growth company, as long as they continue to move forward in the direction that they're going, I can see big things for this company in the future. But for the short term on a swing trade, if we have enough demand tomorrow, I see this thing potentially reaching the 10s, maybe possibly even higher, because once it breaks the 10s, there is no resistance above the 10s, so it can potentially shoot up to the 20s, 15s, and 20 range if we have enough demand. So just a quick review over this. Again, man, I want to solidify that the reason why this drop does not scare me, one, because I was already up in profit. So as you can see, on the day, I'm only down $6 on it. No big deal. But also the fact that we're seeing growth in revenue, which is what I like to see. So typically, I like buying dips on companies that are big in growth in revenue. That is always a great catalyst, because it solidifies the fact that this company not only is creating great products in their research and development, but they're actually, growing as a company. And how do you determine whether a company is growing is in revenue. So, nothing but great things about this company, man. They're reaching their targets. They're growing quarterly and annually. And we had, this is a good catalyst, GLSI. So we call it sympathy plays. So GLSI had this huge run, so that's going to cause a bunch of retail investors to want to pile in on VERU, because they're afraid, FOMO, fear of missing out, that if it has a huge run, then they want to make sure they're in on it. So, but again, I want to warn you that compared to GLSI, the supply and demand ratio is a huge difference. I don't see VERU going to the $100 range. I don't see that happening at all. Not unless it starts trading 500 million shares tomorrow. Then I could see it maybe reaching that range. But again, man, I could very well see it if it maintains this demand and doubles the demand tomorrow. I can see it potentially reaching the $15 to $20 range, being squeezed and then dropping back down. I'm going for a swing trade. I want to get out at a resistance level in the 10s. And if it potentially continues to squeeze past that, well, hey, good luck to you, because I do see it dropping. And if it does blow past the 10s, then I'll probably potentially wait for a dip. And depending on how big the dip is, if it's maintaining the trend that it's doing in the technicals, then I might, just depending on the demand of the actual stock. So VERU, that's what I'm doing here. Doubled up my position after I already made a nice 32% profit. And I want to see what this company can do in the short term. In the long term, I will keep my eye on it, because we do have a growth in revenue year over year and a growth quarterly year over year, 160%. Man, that is amazing. So yeah, man, that's pretty much what I wanted to go over for VERU. Great things coming. Yeah, man, I think that's it. I think that's going to be it for today on VERU. So, if you made it this long in this video, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Leave a comment if you want to talk anything stock market related, mindset related, financially related. If you want me to review anything, or if you see anything interesting, please leave a comment, man. Talk to me, you feel me? I'll respond to you as soon as I can. Anybody willing to talk to me about anything stock market related, I'm always open. You Can't Stop Mafia is a mindset movement, meaning never stop yourself, never stop your progress, never stop your education. Always educate yourself in finance. Having multiple streams of income is a great thing, you feel me, especially in the stock market. So that's me signing off. Until next time, VERU. Bullish on it right now, buying the dips, expecting a higher demand tomorrow. If not, I'm just going to exit and move on to something new, man. So VERU, bullish on it for tomorrow, seeing a massive squeeze if the demand is there. So, till next time, guys, I'm out.